everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to talk about my reading in numbers for 2021. This is going to be a mix of stats and percentages and all the good stuff that people, including myself, like to hear about, and then also the reading survey a tag, I believe. I followed the questions specifically answered by Lala over at Books and Lala, so I will link her channel down below, and I'll link where I believe this all originated from. So the questions that she answered are the ones specifically that I also want to answer, so I think I'm going to do that first, and then I'll go a little bit more into my stats and the types of things that I won't say everything that I specifically track, just because, but I will talk about the types of things that I track and the types of things that I want to keep track of and keep in mind for 2022. So starting off with the questions. Number one, how many books did you read in 2021? I read 200 books, which is the most I've ever read in a single year ever in my life. I never would have thought that I would get to that many, and I'm excited and happy, but also like keep in mind that I work at a library, and I specifically in a children's I work with a lot of children's lit, so a lot of these are also children's graphic novels or children's picture books and things like that. So the second question, which is how many pages did you read? I read 42,234. So there are people who have read less books than I have, but a lot more pages. So really just kind of consider good reading to be whatever you are most comfortable with and can do. My most read genre was general fiction, and here I'll mix a little bit of the stats since it will apply. About 33% of what I read was just general fiction, and that is the most that I read. I'm gonna put a little chart here. The second most being fantasy, and this is across genres. And also I didn't so if it was like a picture book, so a lot of picture books I didn't further put into subgenres. I think for graphic novels I believe I did, but not every single book is counted in this percentage, so just keep that in mind. So it's fiction, then fantasy, then mystery with about 15%. Then it was romance with about 7%. Oh no, nonfiction, 12%, which is not as much as, it's 16 books total, which is good because it's about a book a month, but I wish I would have read more. I did have, you'll see on here that there are 4 comic books, and what I meant by that is there were like 4 that I specifically went to a comic book shop for, and they were like single issue comics. I guess they could be like superhero or fantasy, but I just put them as comic books. They're part of the same series, so I read 4 of those. 1 horror, which was 1 graphic novel, 1 horror graphic novel, 2 poetry, 2 short story collections. That's probably gonna stay about the same. I don't really like short story collections, so I don't really read a lot of them. Thrillers, 2. Again, I don't really read a lot of thrillers, but my horror should go up. Historical fiction, 2. That might stay the same or go up, because I do like historical fiction when it is about or by like own voices, individuals, or any sort of minority group. I will tend to like historical fiction, but it's not one that I gravitate towards a lot. 3 classics, that'll probably stay consistent. I think the only major changes that I predict for this is that fantasy will probably go up. At the very least, I would like it to stay the same, but it might go up. Mystery, I want to go up. Nonfiction, I want to go up. Horror, I want to go up. So those are the things that I'm kind of focusing on for the next year with regards to sort of genre and how that all plays out. My favorite 2021 debut release was Firekeeper's Daughter. This was a young adult book. I talked about it in a vlog. I think I read it in November for Native American Heritage Month, and I absolutely loved it. My favorite older title in 2021, this is probably either Careless in Red by Elizabeth George or Faithful Place by Tana French. Both of these are mysteries, and both of these are listed in my favorite fictions of 2021. Which I think by the time this goes up, that should have already gone up, so you might have heard about that as well. Books that lived up to the hype. I put all the K. O'Neills, and these are the really beautiful graphic novels. They were getting hyped just because of how beautiful the artwork was, and it really was. It lived up to the hype for me. I have picked up I think all but one of hers, and I will continue to pick up everything that she publishes. My biggest reading accomplishment was The Name of the Wind. This is a long high fantasy series that I have had in my shelves for many years. It was, I believe, part of my 5-star predictions when I did it a couple years ago. I haven't even revisited that video. I probably should. But yeah, it just felt like an accomplishment for me to finally get to it, to finish it, and to love it as much as I did. My favorite character is everybody that is in either the Lumberjanes or Giant Days. I love both of those graphic novels series, and I love all the characters in both of those stories. Most surprising moment was me loving The Lightning Thief as much as I did. I did a reading vlog where I read two first in a series, both middle grade fantasy, and one of them was The Lightning Thief, and I am not a mythology person. I don't really care for it. I don't know anything about it. It's just not my thing. And so to like it as much as I did, and to want to continue on with the story as much as I do, was a surprising moment in my reading year. My favorite writing of the year was President and the Frog, just because it felt so unique and minimal, but was still so moving and impactful. And it's also the book that I pushed the most people to read, because I did, I think, 1 or 2 dedicated posts to it on Instagram, and I did its own reading vlog and review on here, and I don't do that for individual books often. So I think if I had to pick like one particular book that I sort of did the most work to push, it would be that one. Book that you'll be recommending the most is the second book in that middle grade reading vlog that I did, which is Ava Evergreen Semi-Magical Witch. It's the first in a newish middle grade series. The second one came out this year, and I absolutely love this book so much. If you love middle grade fantasy, especially with beautiful writing, beautiful characters, and a wonderful atmosphere and setting, then I highly recommend it. I recommend it for fans of the Nevermore series. It was such a lovely reading experience. Then we have our favorite newly discovered author. So for me is Emily M. Danforth. She is one of the authors of Plain Bad Heroines, and I have heard that her YA novel, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, has been is loved by many as a young adult novel. So I am excited to read that one as well and see if she will continue to be a favorite author of mine. And also a newly discovered author for me would be Elizabeth George, 100%. Favorite cover for me is probably Juliet Takes a Breath. I had a lot, but that's one of them that's pretty high up there. I love this particular cover of the book that I haven't read. I think it really calls out to you and is great. Book that made you cry the most. I don't know that I actually physically cried while reading anything this year, but the closest that I got was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This book is one that you should really take care before diving into. Book that made you laugh out loud or laugh the most is the Giant Days books. I chuckle every single time that I read them. Favorite reread, I mean, it's always my favorite reread of every year because I reread it every year, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then my most surprising 5-star was Something Is Killing the Children, which is a horror graphic novel. I read the first in the series. I actually just finished the second volume yesterday, I believe, and the artwork is really creepy and cool. I really like the characters and the writing, and I like the concept. I like how there's still so much mystery but you're invested in the story. Highly, highly recommended if you're a horror fan or a graphic novel fan. Something is Killing the Children. I thought I was gonna like it, but I didn't expect it for it to be a favorite of the graphic novels side, which that video, I don't know if it has gone up just yet, but I will be doing a video about my favorite children's lit, YA, and graphic novels. So, that is the reading survey. So let's talk a little bit about more of my numbers. So I read 96 adult. I read 69 children books. I read 23 middle grade, 4 new adult, 8 young adult. So that's my age breakdown. You will see a lot more YA, new adult, and middle grade going into the next year, but I will probably still keep half, or most of my reading to still be adult. I read 128 that I know female or women written books, and this is because I don't when it comes to things like gender and things like that, that's what I know now. I read 59 books that I owned in 2020. I read in 2021, which is good. I got rid of a lot, and I think right now only a few transferred over into 2022, which is great. I read 38 new releases. Most of those were new picture books. 41 graphic novels, 66 picture books. Thought it was actually going to be more. My average rating was 4.2, which is really high, but it's really given to the fact that I read a lot of picture books, and I love picture books. I read 8 translated works, 5 of which were manga, so if that matters any, and 6 rereads. 3 authors that I know that are non-binary. Again, that I know. This was disappointing. Of my 284 were authors of color. I was hoping more for like at the very least an even split. But that is how you learn. I'm going to be more cognizant of that moving forward. I read a few more indigenous authors this year. Last year I only read 1, but or books, but that I did not improve by a whole lot, so that's gonna be another priority going into the next year. And yeah, so those are some of my stats. Next year I do want to keep track of where I'm getting them from, so if I'm getting them from the library or if I bought them. And just the basically the same things that I talked about, and just being more cognizant of being closer to an even split with authors of color and white authors. Still have 49 books coming into 2022 that are my priority. I believe by the time that this video goes up, I will have shown what all of those are. So 49 is really, really good. I think I started last year with like 98 or something like that. So I did really, really well in either reading them or getting rid of the ones that I didn't want, and then not buying an atrocious amount. So I have 49 books as my main priority going into the next year. I think I can do it, and hopefully I don't add too crazy an amount to that list. So let me know if you have done any of these and what you thought, and what your reading last year was like. Thank you as always for watching and for listening. I love you all very much.